Hi guys, it's Izzy and I'm reading chapters 19 through 29 of Geronimo, Stilton, and the Gold Medal Mystery. Geronimo, you're amazing. But the real surprise was still to come. When the Olympics wrapped up, Hercule Poirot and I boarded the first plane back to New Mouse City. Despite what I'd told Thea and grandfather, I was sad to leave Athens. It was truly a beautiful city, and one with many fascinating history. I couldn't wait to come back for a visit. After a bumpy flight, Hercule and I scrambled off the plane together. It was good to be home. Much to our surprise, there was a huge crowd of rodents waiting around at the airport. Geronimo, you're amazing! I turned red as a tomato. Me? I stuttered. The crowd pushed down the barriers. More than 1,000 female rodents rushed towards me. It was terrifying. I scampered away as fast as I could. Run, my dear Stilton, run, called Hercule. At that moment, my cell phone rang. It was my sister, Thea. Geronimo, your TV broadcast of the Olympics were stupendous. By the way, you look great on TV. All my friends want to meet you. And what an adventure you had. It's the kind of thing that only happens to you and Hercule Poirot. Facts about the modern Olympics. After 1,611 years, the Olympics returned. Where? To Greece, of course, where the first Olympics began centuries ago. In 1896, a Frenchman named Baron Pierre de Coubertin organized the first modern-day Olympics. Many had tried before him, but he was the first to succeed. Initially, the new Olympic Games were not very successful. Only 14 countries participated at the first modern Olympics, and of the 241 male athletes, most were Greek. So, of course, Greece won the most medals, 10 gold, 17 silver, 19 bronze. But Coubertin did not get discouraged. He continued trying to persuade the athletes of the world to compete in the new games. He decided that the Olympics should be held every 4 years, like it had been in ancient Greece. However, Coubertin also decided that each time they should be held in a different country. He did this to reinforce the idea of peace and brotherhood among all nations. A real super-duper athlete. The most important thing in the Olympic Games is not to win, but to participate. This famous quote from Pierre de Coubertin is the cornerstone of modern-day Olympics. Coubertin was an admirer of the ancient Greek world. He was firmly convinced that sport played an important role in developing the minds and bodies of young people. He also felt the Games could be the perfect tool for improving relations among different nations. And so, in 1894, he proposed the rebirth of the Olympic Games to an international committee, which became the first International Olympic Committee. Coubertin was named honorary president of the Olympic Games. According to his wishes, his heart was buried in Olympia, Greece, in a monument commemorating the revival of the Olympic Games. And so, with only a few interruptions, the Olympic Games have continued to this day. Surely, Coubertin would have been very pleased with his accomplishments. In 1896, only 14 countries participated in Greece, and in 1948, after World War II, only 59 participated in London. But by 2004 in Athens, 201 countries and 10,625 athletes competed in 301 events. Many things have changed since the early Olympics. For example, at the Paris Games in 900, all the swimming competitions took place in the Seine River, with the currents always in the swimmers' favor. Today, of course, all the swimming competitions are held in the Olympic-sized pools. At the same Olympics in Paris in 1900, winners were awarded umbrellas and books as their prizes, despite what Coubertin had requested to be given as awards, a medal, a certificate, and a laurel branch in remembrance of the ancient games. The oath. In the name of all the competitors, I promise that we shall take part in these Olympic Games, respecting and abiding by the rules which govern them, committing ourselves to a sport with doping and without drugs, in the true spirit of sportsmanship, for the glory of sport and the honor of our teams. The Olympic oath is taken by each athlete at the opening ceremonies of every Games to emphasize the spirit that should be present during every competition. In the shadow of the torch. The Olympic flame is a symbol of the spirit of brotherhood among all people. Every 4 years, a few months before the Games, a fire is lit near the ruins of the ancient temple in Olympia, Greece, using the sun in a mirror. A torch is ignited from the fire, and then a team's athlete from many different countries rely to the flame to the place where the Olympics will take place that year. The athletes who carry the flame are called torchbearers. The flame can be transported by bicycle, car, train, boat, or plane. Otherwise, it is passed from hand to hand by runners on foot every kilometer until it reaches the Olympic Stadium in that host city. There, it is used to light the cauldron that will burn for the duration of the Games. It is a great honor to be the final torchbearer, who is usually a citizen of the host country. The 5 Olympic circles. Naturally, it was the father of the Olympic Games, Pierre de Coubertin, who thought of such a simple and clear symbol to represent the spirit of the Olympics. Once again, Coubertin found his inspiration in antiquity. When he was studying rituals from the ancient games, he saw 5 intertwined circles on an altar in Greece. These circles were used as a symbol of truce during the Delphic Games. Coubertin thought they would be a perfect representation of the 5 continents on our planet. The circles on the white background have at least one color from all the flags of the world. Every circle corresponds to a continent: yellow for Asia, black for Africa, blue for Europe, red for the Americas, and green for Oceania. At the end of each Games, the Olympic flag is given to the country that will host the next Olympics. The first Olympic flag made its debut in 1920 at the Games held in Antwerp, Belgium, but that was not the only new aspect of the 7th modern Olympics. Women in the Olympics. During ancient times, women could not participate or even attend the Olympic Games. At the first modern Olympics in 1896, things were not much different. Obviously, women could attend the Games, but they did not compete until 1900 in Paris in tennis and croquet. Out of 997 athletes, only 22 were women. Now, one of the goals of the Olympics is to promote women in all sports levels. Out of 10,624 athletes in the 2004 Summer Olympics, 4,329 were women. The chronometer. The first quartz electronic chronometer made its appearance during the Games in Tokyo, Japan, in 1964. Before then, time was measured with a mechanical chronometer in those early competitions. It was not easy to establish the winner, especially in the swimming or track competitions when the advantage could come down to the 100th of a second. In case of a tie, a decision was made by the judges who were not always in agreement. Today's technology allows the judges to immediately evaluate the results to a thousandth of a second. In fact, with the aid of photo imaging, the judges can watch athletes cross the finish line on a computer monitor that shows them each competitor's time directly underneath her or his picture. The Summer Olympics. When people talk about the Olympics, everyone immediately thinks of the Summer Games that take place every 4 years. The Summer Olympics has the most competitions, more than 300 individual and team events. There are also games in which the greatest number of athletes participate. More than 10,000 athletes participated in the Summer Olympics held in Athens in 2004. One reason the Summer Games are so huge is that every sport includes specialized disciplines or events. For example, the swimming competition is broken up into several events, including diving, synchronized swimming, and water polo. Field events include 3 disciplines: running, jumping, and throwing. These 3 disciplines include many individual and team events. Just think of how many track competitions there are, starting from the 100-meter dash, which lasts only a few seconds, to the marathon, which is more than 26 miles long and lasts hours. The Winter Olympics. In 1924, the 7th Olympic Summer Games were held in Paris, France, while the first Olympic Winter Games took place in the Chamonix, France, until 1990. Both the winter and summer sports were held in the same year. After the 1990 Games, it was decided to reschedule the Summer and Winter Games by alternating between them, so that the Olympics would take place every 2 years. Each would still be held in a 4-year cycle, but 2 years apart from each other. Organizing one first Winter Games was not easy, even though there were fewer athletes and events than in the Summer Games. Why? The problem, first and foremost, was the snow. Today we have machines that can make artificial snow. Innsbruck, Austria, and Austria Army had to bring in tons of snow and ice by truck because it had not snowed yet. The Winter Games have more than 80 events. The individual and team competitions are in the following sports: biathlon, bobsled, curling, ice hockey, luge, skating, and skiing.